Okay, so now we've connected GitHub, and let's try to start the server of the application once again. So I type Rails S, and here is the running server of the application. So we see that we have one static page. It's a blank application, and now we're going to create a couple of pages of our own. So we'll switch the server off and type Rails generate controller. We'll name the controller static pages. And in static pages, we're going to have, let's say, two different pages. One is going to be the landing page, and the second one is going to be privacy policy. Because most of the applications nowadays have to have a privacy policy to work correctly. So what did we do? We generated a few different files. If we go into the app folder, we see in controllers that we generated a file called static pages controller. We have two methods here, two actions here, landing page and privacy policy. And if we go to views, we have a new folder called static pages. One file is landing page, and the second file is privacy policy. And in these pages, we can have simple HTML, and we can edit it just as we want. So how does this work? Now we're using, we've created a controller and views. And we also have some changes in a file called roots. So if we go to config, in config we have roots. So these two lines were automatically injected: get static pages / landing page and get static pages / privacy policy. So if we start our server and go here, if we go to / static pages / landing page, so / static pages / landing page, what will happen? Let's see, let's wait. Yeah, so we have this static HTML rendered from this landing page, static pages, landing page. Here it is. So how does it work? Basically, we have our roots, so it is our kind of URLs, what we type in the browser. So we have static pages / landing page. And this path looks for the controller named static pages. So we go to app, controllers, static pages. And in the static pages controller, we have landing page, the landing page action. And as we have our views, in our views, we have a folder called static pages. Here we have a landing page and privacy policy. So the application by default, when calling landing page, will render this landing page view. So we can edit this landing page just as we want. We go to this landing page html.erb. We can type in something like h1, so header. It's like big text. And here we'll have hello world. We refresh, and here we have this just hello world. So like this, we've generated two static pages. Now let's also add some basic navigation. So we are going to have links to different pages. Let's say on the landing page, we'll have a link to the privacy policy, and in privacy policy, we will have the link to landing page. Here we will type equals link to, then we will have privacy policy, and we will have a path to this privacy policy. Now, how do we know which path to use? If we will go to /roots, we will see all the available paths in our application. So here we have static pages, landing page path, static pages, privacy policy path. So it can be something like this: static pages, privacy policy path. Now you see this kind of code says that inside we will have Ruby code, and this link to is a Ruby method. So if we refresh and go to static pages landing page, we have this link to privacy policy. If we press this link, we automatically go to static pages privacy policy page. And just like this, in our privacy policy, we can have a link to our landing page. And it will be static pages, landing page, path. So you see, we have already a small application with 2 different pages, and we can navigate from one page to another. Now, once again, how does it work? In our browser, we are on our website, and we have some kind of URL. From this URL, the application understands that static pages is a controller, and privacy policy is an action with a view. So here we have a controller, static pages, and landing page privacy policies are actions with views. And inside these views, we can have plain HTML, and we can also have elements of Ruby code. So that's basically it. But now let's do one more thing. Let's change the default URL. So you see, if we don't have any slashes, if we have just our application, we have this default Ruby on Rails page, and we don't want it. Let's say that we want to see our landing page by default. So we will go to this roots file. Here it is. And here we will add a root path. So we'll say root, and the root will go to static pages, landing page. Now note that here we say not the path, not static pages / landing page, but the controller name and the action name directly. So when we refresh the page, by default we have this root page. And if we go to static pages, we have nothing. If we go to static pages landing page, we have landing page. If we go to privacy policy, we have privacy policy. But again, the static pages thing doesn't look really nice. And we don't need our landing page rendered both in the default URL and in static pages. So we can remove this second URL. And now we refresh, and you see we will have only 2 pages left: static pages / privacy policy. And you see this link to landing page doesn't work anymore because this path doesn't exist anymore. So the path was deleted from roots. We deleted this path from roots, and it doesn't exist anymore. Okay, so we're going to remove this code. And let's see. We have our static pages privacy policy, and we have our default page. Now let's make it so that we don't have to have the controller in the URL when trying to access privacy policy. So we're going to go back to our roots, and once again, we're going to say something like get privacy policy to static pages privacy policy. And we refresh, and you see it is kind of a shorter URL. So I said we don't need to go to static pages / privacy policy. We go directly to privacy policy and get the controller name static pages and the action named privacy policy. So here is our privacy policy page. And now let's once again make the links work. So here we'll have a link to landing page, and it's going to be just root path. So we have this root path. We can just make it like home, link to home. And here we don't have the static pages privacy policy path. We'll just have privacy policy path. We can check it in our roots / roots. Here we have our root path and privacy policy path that leads to the controller named static pages and the action named privacy policy. So we're going to our landing page, and here we're going to have just privacy policy path. Now we go back to our application, and here we have our landing page, hello world, and the link to the privacy policy. When we go there, we see the privacy policy content and a link to go home. So now we have 2 pages in our application, and it looks quite nice. Now let's save our changes and commit them to GitHub. So I switch the server off, Ctrl+C, Ctrl+L to clean up. and I type git status, and here are all the changes we did. Now we see in routes.rb, we added all these lines. Then in static pages as CSS, well, we didn't do anything, and we're not going to use this file, so we are going to check it out. Basically, we're not going to have it anymore. Once again, I press git status. Oh, actually, we're going to remove it. So we don't need this file. Now, once again, git status. Okay, it didn't work. I will go directly to assets, style sheets, delete static pages as CSS. Now again, Control L, git status. Okay, then static pages controller. In static pages controller, we basically created this controller and two actions to view, an action to view the landing page and an action to view the privacy policy. Next, we created a static pages helper. We are not going to use it now. And we created a folder in views/static pages. So views, static pages, and here we have two HTML pages. And we also created a test page. We're not going to use it either for the purposes of this lesson. And from helpers, we can also remove our static pages helper. We're not going to use it in the near future. So git status. Once again, what did we do? We changed our routes. We created a controller and we created a folder in our views. Okay, let's save. Git add all. Git status. We see all the changes were kind of added to Git. Now we need to commit them. Git commit to main, and we're going to say Rails generate controller static pages. Okay, and we type git push, and you see we didn't have to type a password in. It was automatically pushed to GitHub. So I will go back. I'll go to our application on GitHub. And let's see, you see, I see my name. I am the one who made the commit. And we see Rails generate controller static pages. If I go to the commit history, I see this commit, I open it, and I can see all the history, all the changes that we made during this lecture. So basically like this, we can see all the versions of our application and all the changes to the code. And that's it for this lecture. Thank you.